Greetings and welcome once more to Sonic Odyssey, the video channel dedicated to bringing you the last 5 decades or so of music and review and discussion format. Today we're going to be looking at a pretty unique album, but before we dive into today's subject matter, please remember to like the video so others can also have it pop up on their page. Subscribe to the video channel to stay up to date on all things Sonic Odyssey, and share the video through social media channels. There's the little share button there below the video, and you can share the video directly to your Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter account and let your friends know that you enjoyed this video. Also, please consider visiting my Patreon account. I have a Patreon campaign set up because I don't make any revenue off of these videos, but I do have overhead costs. So you can donate anything from a couple of dollars a month upwards. You can have your name listed in the end credits of each video, and you can even go so far as to select an album for me to review. Today we're going to be looking at an album which, well, how can I put this? I think it was George Carlin, the comedian George Carlin, who in one of his HBO specials posed the question, can God make a rock so large that even he can't lift it? And that's sort of how I feel about this. Can I choose an album to review that even I can't review? But I'm going to do my damned best to do so. The album is entitled Angry Monk, and it's a solo project by Tabor and Trip Magnet. And on the side of the dust jacket, it actually says on one side side and on the other side project, so it's clearly delineated from his other solo albums in terms of letting the purchaser be aware this is not your typical Tabor project. Angry Monk is a sort of avant-garde noise production. It's very heavy, very dense music, and it does have the feeling of sort of pissed off meditation music, might be one way to think about it. So the term Angry Monk for the title is fairly appropriate. And this was released just a few months ago, so it's a very new project and 2020 release. On the dust jacket of the album, I think this is something I need to quote because it really captures what Tabor wanted people to understand about this project. So it is Angry Monk 2020, produced, written, and recorded by Tabor. All sounds except nature, cars, bass, chair beating, floor creaks, box beating, key effects, and drums were made with electric guitars or cigar box guitars. Some tunings are more than an octave below normal drop tuning ranges. Now, for those of you who might not be musicians, or you know, I'm not a musician myself, but I do understand the term about drop tuning. That's something that a lot of bands do, especially in the heavier music. A lot of black metal or death metal tends to use drop tuning. They take a standard tuning and drop it a note or two on the tuning of the guitar to make it a heavier sound. But here we are going more than an octave below normal drop tunings. So we're talking about some incredibly deep sounding, heavy sounding guitar sounds coming out in the mix. To give you an idea of what that sounds like, I'll play for you a little bit of the first track on the album. It's entitled March Madness. As you can hear in the clip March Madness, the guitar work is really heavy, very low, almost bass low, and sometimes even lower than the bass. It's a very clunky, very chunky, very driven and distorted almost sound. It sounds not at all like your typical guitar work, which is what Ty Tabor was clearly going for. He wanted this to be more experimental, more avant-garde than some of his other works. Ty Tabor has been involved in music for more than 3 decades. He is probably most famous for the band King's X, where he and Doug Pinnick and Jerry Gaskill, a trio, have produced progressive rock albums since the 1980s, and they even have a new album coming out either later this year or in early 2021. The whole COVID thing has messed up release dates for music. Ty Tabor has released solo albums before. This is not his first. He's released, I think, 6 or 7 total solo projects where all the musicianship, or maybe most of the musicianship, is just himself. I think on one of his solo albums, Jerry Gaskill came on drums. But other than that, he's taken part in some other side projects, such as putting out a couple of albums with a band called Platypus, 4 albums with a band entitled Jelly Jam. There was the solo album, or I should say single album, Jughead, and there are other projects as well that he's been involved in, all of which fall into the more standard progressive rock or mainstream rock categories. So this is a very different sound project for Ty Tabor. And to give you another feel for that, we'll check out another clip. This one from the song entitled Hive. Hive continues this same sort of sound quality that you heard through March Madness and is prevalent throughout the entire album. There are 9 songs in total on the album. The tenor and tone of the entirety of the project is this rich, rhythmic, tribal drum, clean bass, and then the down-tuned guitars with unique effects coming off of each of them. On the song Swales, for instance, the guitars, although still down-tuned pretty heavily, kind of come through like whale songs, which I guess was his intention in that particular piece. In closing, Angry Monk is not your standard rock album by any stretch of the imagination. If you're looking for your standard Tabor project, it's not going to fit your expectations. This is a completely out of the blue, out of left field, one-of-a-kind type of project that he's put together. And it's really interesting. I have to say, the first time I listened to it, I was completely thrown off my guard because I'm a huge Tabor fan. I have all of his solo albums, and I've got all of King's X and Platypus and Jelly Jam. I love Tabor's sound and what he brings to music in general. So when I first heard Angry Monk, it really took me by surprise how very different it is from everything else that he's ever done. But with successive listens, and I've listened to it probably about 15 times now, it's really grown on me with its tempos and rhythm shifts. The drums, again, are really very tight. They're crisp, clean drums. They have, again, a kind of rhythmic, tribal sound to them at points. The bass guitar work is also very crisp. You'll never confuse the bass guitar for the down-tuned distortion of the regular guitars. And on Tornado Plains, which is one of the tracks, there's wonderful effects of nature, and which comes mostly in the form of rain, which mixes in marvelously with the mood of the song and style of the sound the guitars make. So I would give Angry Monk probably about 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think it's not for everybody. It's certainly an acquired listening taste, but it's one that I felt strongly enough about that I wanted to share it with you. So I hope you'll consider giving it more of a listen, trying to find it. I think there are at least one video, probably more than one video by now, available on YouTube to listen to the songs in their entirety. And if not, you can check it out on iTunes or Spotify or some other music outlet. I found it both on Bandcamp and on Tabor's website. It was cheaper on Tabor's website, so I purchased it from there. It was only $13 US, whereas on Bandcamp it was, I think, $16. So it's available if you want to check it out further. I think it's something to put on to listen to, and not just something to put on in the background. It's not party music, it's not dance music. It's something to put on and almost meditate to. So, as I said, 3.5 out of 5 stars. And that's going to do it for us here today. So please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and consider visiting the Patreon page. And until next time, have a great day. Peace. Bye.